Today we're looking at the insane combo deck that very nearly took home the European Championship title. If you didn't already know, what have you been doing in the last week? Ritual Beast almost won YuGiOh in the capable hands of Julio Valls, and today we're looking at the combos that almost gave it to him. Game 1 begins, it's the final. Julio is piloting Ritual Beast against Esteban Rey using Tenpai Dragons. Julio goes first and leads with normal summon Elder, allowing him another normal summon, this time for Cannahawk. Back in the old days, this was one of the best combos to start with, and that has not changed as recent releases like Battles of Legend and Terminal Revenge have dropped us with plenty of great new cards. Anyway, here's how the combo goes. Cannahawk effect is activated. This allows us to banish one of the Ritual Beast cards from deck. So banish the Spiritual Tamer Lara. This is the new release that came from Terminal Revenge. Don't activate the effect here, we're just going to fuse with these two monsters in order to bring out the first of many ulti Cannahawks. Cannahawk effect is activated. That is going to target the Lara and the Hawk, and then after that we can do the usual great play of chaining the effect of Cannahawk, return it to the extra deck. Now we only need to put one of these cards into the graveyard in order to get the search off. So by summoning the Cannahawk and the Elder, we put Lara into the graveyard, we get the search, and now we've got Cannahawk live for the next banish. So the ulti Cannahawk searches for inheritance, add that to the hand, and then activate the inheritance here. There is a Rampengu in hand, which Julio drew, so we can reveal the Rampengu to use inheritance to search the deck. We get to add one of our Ritual Beast cards and then discard a card. So we're going to be adding the Tamer Wen here, and we'll probably just go ahead and discard that Rampengu afterwards. So at this point, Julio had the opportunity to activate the Cannahawk effect. He didn't take it, he instead just used the monsters to perform an immediate link summon. There are certain opportunities where it would be beneficial to maybe banish a Rampengu or something, but with this particular hand it doesn't really matter, it's so strong. So we summon out the Kumun Falcus, which means that we are now ready to get an extra normal summon, so we can banish the Rampengu. The Wen gets the normal summon, and it triggers, is able to special summon back the Rampengu here. Rampengu's effect is activated, we get to banish the ulti Gaia Paleo from the extra deck, which means that we can then send a Psychic from the deck to the graveyard. So that is going to be, this time, the Tamer Winder. By banishing the Winder and the Spiritual Beast Tamer Lara, we can actually summon out the Nochia Drago from the extra deck. The fact that Lara is a Spiritual Beast Tamer is kind of crazy because there's so many combo lines. Now that the Lara's been banished, we can use the effect. That allows us to special summon from the deck, so we can bring out the Apelio. Now if you needed to banish something from the graveyard, Apelio's got that effect where you banish from the graveyard, give everything a 500 boost. So we can banish the Cannahawk. And then we can use the Apelio and the Rampengu for an XZ summon. This is into the Flame Banshee. Flame Banshee, of course, great piece of interaction, getting you to Floodgates to detach the Apelio here. And then we can search for Nemesis Flag. And then, of course, Flag gives us the opportunity to search for a Protoss. Very fun, very interactive here. So we go ahead and link everything except for the Wen into the ulti Raratari. I'm definitely pronouncing that wrong. Use the effect, target the Cannahawk, add it back to hand, and then we get an extra normal summon, so we can just immediately normal summon the Cannahawk. Use the Cannahawk effect, we're going to banish a Lara from the deck. Now we haven't special summoned Lara yet. Lara's got this funny wording where you are able to special summon more than one at a time, which is pretty cool. So we can banish the Cannahawk and the Wen here, and that allows us to go into another ulti Cannahawk, so we can get another search off if we need to. So use Hawk to target Lara and Wen, neither of which has been special summoned yet. We're going to put these two back in order to get a search, and then chain the effect, target the two Laras. So we'll special summon both the Laras, the Wen goes to the graveyard, and then because one of the cards went to the graveyard, we get to get a search off. So in this position, Julio was going for follow-up. He decided to go with the Cannahawk here because he's going to get another search anyway. So setting up the disrupt with Steeds will come later. We can summon the Flag now by returning the ulti YuGiOh back to the extra deck, and then Flag will be able to search for the Protoss. But of course, Julio, having the Heart of the Cards luck, actually drew the Protoss anyway, so even if the Flag got infirmed here, still had it ready to go. And then that can just be summoned by banishing the Flame Banshee, the Noshio Drago, and the ulti Valkus. When the Flame Banshee gets banished, it's going to be able to get a summon off, which is pretty cool. These are all different attributes, so exactly what's needed for the summon of Protoss. And then Julio chose to trigger the Flame Banshee here, summon it back to the field. And now we obviously know this is a fire format, you're going to be using Protoss to destroy all the fires anyway, and because flags are already on the field, technically there's no real reason to do that here. We'll just pick fire, both of these will get destroyed. I guess it means that it's in the graveyard again in case you want to banish it again in the future. Now we can use the two Laras for a fusion summon for the ulti Cannahawk. And then ulti Cannahawk can get another search off. If we target the two Laras, they'll both go into the graveyard. That means we've got protection from destructive effects, we get to search the Steeds. And this is actually really important because a big part of the reason why Julio ended up winning this game was because there were two Laras in the graveyard. So this is the end board, the ulti Raritari, the Protoss, which is Firelocks the opponent, a set Steeds, Cannahawk, which is able to tag out into two because we actually have Cannahawk, and Winder already banished, ready to go. We've got the Inheritance set up, we've got Cannahawk for follow-up, two Laras in the graveyard, which will give us protection from destruction, very important in the finals. And Julio goes on to win game one, a commanding position in the finals of the European Championship with this end board. But now, let's turn to game three, the combo that he played, and let's assess why it didn't pan out. Alright, game 3, Julio is starting again. It's his last chance to show off the deck, and this combo goes hard. We start off with discard of Lara to get an extra normal summon, and then we can normal summon the Rampengu that's in hand. Rampengu effect can banish the ulti YuGiOh from the extra deck, which will allow us to send a Psychic, which can be another Lara. Really important, because Lara, being a spiritual beast tamer, can fulfill both conditions for the ulti Ritual Beast monsters that are in the extra deck, the fusions, which means that we can banish both of these to summon the Noshio Drago from the extra deck. Really, really cool interaction. I love that they've added this into the deck. Reminds me so much of ABC, and I love ABC, so yeah, banishing from the graveyard to fusion summon, really, really cool. So we get to trigger the Lara here because it was banished. That lets us special summon from the deck, so we can summon out the baby Lara, the small Lara that everyone used to be playing, but now is seeing a lot less play, normally just one of. Fuse these two, and we can go into the first, hopefully of many, ulti Cannahawks. Use the ulti Cannahawk, we can target the Lara, the small Lara and the big Lara, and then we can chain the effect. That way we can do the special summons and get the search off at the same time. So we'll bring back the two Laras. Remember, it says that you can only summon Laras once per turn, so you can actually summon two at once. We return the smaller Lara to the graveyard, and that allows us to get a search off. This time getting the Wen. We haven't used the normal summon, we've only used the special normal summon at this point. We can then link the two Laras actually to go into a Valkus, which will give us another opportunity for a normal summon. So using the Valkus, banish the level 1 Lara from the graveyard. Oh, they're both level 1. The old Lara from the graveyard in order to get the extra normal summon of Wen. Wen can bring back the Rampengu, and then we'll activate the D fissure before we use the Rampengu. This means that both of the cards will get banished. So we get to Rampengu again. And actually this time we're going to banish the ulti Cannahawk because we want to get the baby Cannahawk into rotation. So sending that Cannahawk to the graveyard but automatically gets banished from D fissure. This is a really cool interaction. The way that sort of the banishing floodgates interact with Ritual Beast is pretty cool. We can use these two for a fusion summon to go into the other ulti Cannahawk. And then we can do the usual thing. Cannahawk, target 2 and then tag out. And then we can chain the effect. Return it to the extra deck, bring back the Wen, and bring back the Cannahawk, and then still send the Rampengu so we still get a search off. So at this point, Julio just searches for Steeds. It's an interesting point because this is quite early in this combo compared to where we were in the last combo, but we're already searching the Steeds, which is just like sort of the end point normally of the combos. And we still haven't gone into the Link 4. We can use the Cannahawk here, banish away the Petal Fin so that we have another name to summon. It's really interesting that we go for the Petal Fin here. Go into a bit more detail in a sec. We're going to link summon with these 3 monsters, but because they're being sent to the graveyard from D fissure, they'll actually all get banished. Bring out the Tauri. And then use the effect. Add back the Cannahawk, get the extra normal summon the Cannahawk. Cannahawk effect again. Banish another name. This time the Winder. We haven't summoned the Winder yet. We haven't summoned the Petal Fin yet. Also haven't summoned the Apelio yet. That will come in later. Use these two for the fusion summon of the Cannahawk. And then we can do exactly the same thing over and over and over again. So the Cannahawk is going to activate its effect, target the Winder, and target the... which one is it? Yeah, the YuGiOh Drago. To try to return them to the graveyard. Chain the effect to special summon the Winder, and we can of course special summon the Petal Fin here. YuGiOh Drago is going to be returned to the graveyard. That means we can resolve the ulti Cannahawk effect to search. So searching for the Cannahawk here. This is kind of like the reverse order of what we saw in the last combo, where Julio searched for Cannahawk first and then Steeds second. So it's almost like he's debating mid-combo whether he wants to go further or not. And then we see the Flame Banshee because these are 2 level 4s. Okay, so even though we already have Flag in hand, interestingly enough, Flame Banshee searches a Pyro. There is another Ritual Beast monster that is a Pyro, which is Apelio, which hasn't been special summoned yet. So we can activate the Flame Banshee, add Apelio to the hand, detaching the Winder, and then summon the Flag by returning the ulti guy Apelio to the extra deck. Flag gets to search for Protoss here. Now in true Julio fashion, in this final, Protoss was absolutely just stuck to his hand, so it was actually the 5th card that he had in hand. Didn't get to search for the Flag here. But, you know, if you didn't draw it all the time like Julio, if you're not that good, you can use Flag to search it here. To summon the Protoss, we need to banish 3 with different attributes. So we're going to banish the YuGiOh Drago, the Winder, and then the Flame Banshee here. That summons the Protoss. There is a fire on board. Protoss effect can be activated here, calling fire. We could trigger the Flame Banshee, but once again, same as I mentioned before, you don't really need to. You've already got a fire, and you're just going to get rid of all the fires anyway. So the Protoss destroys the Nemesis Flag. Esteban is locked out of fire monsters, and things are looking very good for Julio once again. His Protoss wasn't interrupted with an Imperm. He's got a set Steeds. He's got a Tauri, which is a quick effect, which gets to banish stuff. The only problem here is, right, there's not a lot backing up this Link monster in this turn, but that's not really a problem. There are 2 Laras in the graveyard for protection against destruction effects. There's a decent amount of stuff banished that can be summoned off the next turn. There's a Cannahawk in hand. There's an Apelio in hand. D fissure as well. There's so much follow-up for Julio. So why did he lose in this position? Well, for one, Esteban had managed to draw the Mulch Army Perulia, which had given him so many draws. It was actually insane that he didn't imperm the Protoss at this point. That was part 1. Another part, there was a Ghost Sister and Spooky Dogwood. So even though, right, Esteban basically couldn't play, like could barely do anything on his first turn in this duel, Julio did his decent thing, set up his Firelock, but afterwards he was unable to Firelock again. Instead he was trying to push so much damage. He was trying to deal with something like 28,000 or something life points he had to push through. I think he did over 10,000 damage in a single turn, but just not quite enough. Wasn't able to repeat the Firelock, and that opened the door for Esteban to come through and take the title. Really interesting. I think it was super close. Definitely go and watch the stream again. I hope these combos have been useful to you guys. Hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you all in another video.